this is a UNESCO area. All this bare avenue is inside a UNESCO limit. And so in my plan, I would propose to demolish. And I'm going to show you my final drawing, which it's all my ideas. I tried to present them the best I could in this final drawing. So here, this arch I mentioned, you could pass below it, and the avenue would continue. And in the back, you would have the rows of houses, new and reconstruction, with a wider street, the square, the oldest square that disappeared, that would make a comeback, and the narrower streets that originally existed. So where that new building was done, I would propose to demolish it and add a corner building with the language that is more typical of the city, and specifically the historical city center. I based it off my presidents that I showed, and for the arch, I based the design more on of a Beaux-Arts and neoclassical architecture of the Sambent station by Max da Silva and other close by buildings in the Avenue of the Allies. While the other buildings facing the narrow street use a more vernacular approach to the facades, and even their subdivision on the composition of the facade. On the upper part of the drawing, there's a section going right through the middle of the arch. And you can see a bit better this mixture of a more classicizing architecture and a more vernacular one. And on the top left corner is a very minimal plan with just the structures all blacked out without the roof layout. I'm just going to go back to the comparison of the images, and you can see the roof outline of all the structures that I'm proposing. And with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joao. And the jury, you can propose whatever your opinions on his work. If you go one page before, so that everyone can keep seeing, yes, leave it like that.
If I could please interject before we go ahead. First of all, welcome to the jury members. It's a real honor to have you here. I'm sorry that I'm not with you. I'm actually at University Place, Washington, which is part of Tacoma, Washington, working with a client doing very similar kind of work to what is being shown today at the Academy. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the students for doing such interesting work, really good stuff, and to Professor Funes for leading the Classic Planning Academy as well as he is. Greetings, everybody. And I am here actually in a conference room together with a masterclass of University Place staff, where we're working towards the 100-year plan for University Place. Thank you very much for giving me a moment to say hello. I'm actually going to see if the students want to keep on listening or they want to get on with the work, because the master class is taking time away from their obligations at the City Hall here. Thank you very much, Professor Funes, for letting me interject. Welcome, everybody, and good luck to jury and presenters today. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for making your time to to just step in because I know that you have a very busy day today. Thank you. And well, and a greeting for everyone in the master class if they're watching us. So hello, and I hope that you enjoy the projects. Well, but the protagonists here are the students and the jury. So please, members of the jury, just as you want to start, we would like to hear your thoughts.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
So I like it very much. It's very beautiful drawn, a lot of very interesting elements. My observation would be I like the plan, top plan, how you see it looks very good. But when I see this perspective, it feels a bit heavy, this construction, compared to, I went on Google Map and I look at the other buildings on the square. And what you have on the left, where it's your cartouche, they are very small building, very narrow, with very delicate details. Only on the right-hand side, run right, on the left, you have the bus station, which is more monumental. And I don't know what would balance this. So you will have on the left much more volume and monumentality, while on the right it's very delicate and human scale. And it's difficult to assess from this image how all would mix. And I like the fact that you have this platform, which would somehow make the connection with the high level very good. But I don't know, maybe if you make it narrower so you don't lose totally what's happening after the arch, because now it's like a screen. You don't see the beauty of the rest of the plan. And then on the part where you reconstructed the historical buildings, if you can go a bit back with a few slides, where you put that density of here on the proposed. Just make sure that you keep some light courtyards in between those two rows of buildings. Otherwise, you will have back-to-back houses, and those will not be livable. You need some fresh air and new fresh light intake. So on the proposed, those back-to-back very dense. But otherwise, I like very much, and this plan, it's beautiful. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
May I follow, please?
Of course, please.
Okay, thank you, Joao, for such a great presentation. The many useful techniques that you used in the analysis. I praise the quality of the drawings as well. And then delving into first the urban, second the architecture and landscape design, I find
I also agree with some of the comments that have been made by the other jury members, with kind of the density and the like. I think one thing that could be interesting, if you were to take this and explore it further, is some of the courtyard ideas along this main roadway. Is, what could a colonnade add to this, right? And so you'd provide maybe a little bit more protection with some of these more intimate courtyards and things like that. But overall, your proposal is very successful, and you should be really proud of yourself with everything that you've been able to accomplish in this first year at the Classic Planning Academy.
Thank you so much. And I would also like to thank Pablo and Dr. Buras, because without their knowledge, their tips, for example, you mentioned the composition of this drawing. A lot of it is thanks to Pablo and his teachings and his annotations and everything. So I would also like to thank them, and of course the jury, for all your input. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joao. Let me check if Oscar Oldegoy is here, because he had Oscar, are you here? No, he's not here. I cannot see him on the list. So I think that the next one, is there any preference? Anyone wants to come next? Any of you?
I can present it.
Yes, please, Miguel. That will be great if you show them your project.
Excellent. Okay. I'm going to share my screen in just 1 second.
So for the just for the jury to know, everyone has chosen a different location. So the projects have a very interesting different location, different varieties, different ways of approaching the design.
Great. So everybody can see my screen. Everybody can hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, everyone. I'll just give you a brief introduction to myself, about myself. My name is Miguel Eduardo Perez. I am born and raised in San Diego, California, and I am a Mexican architect, licensed in Mexico, studied in Mexico for 3 years, and have been working in San Diego in an architecture firm for about 3 years now. And this is my presentation. I will present to you what I did, class. Like it was previously mentioned, there is going to be some repetition, or it will feel a little bit repetitive in the first couple of slides, because we did go through a similar process together as a team. So the first assignments, or the first couple of weeks under the CPA, were an introduction to the orders, which is something I personally had a small notion about. In architecture school, they taught us about the orders for maybe a day or two, and then we didn't ever go back to studying what the Doric was or Corinthian. We just went straight to Corbusier after the first day or two. But here we took our time. We were a lot more slow with this, but being carefully studying proportion, carefully studying what made each order special and what makes it stand out as well as other items that complement the orders, like the pillars or the pedestals that apply to every individual type of order, as you could see here. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So here are the pedestals, a study of a door in the Ionic order, and my orders, as you can see them drawn here. You will see many of those in the next presentation, so let's get going. The first exercise that I did was the park gate, like everyone else. This is my version of the park gate using a Corinthian order. Yeah, this is it. And there's not much else to explain. I think the drawing speaks for itself. I think it explains more than me trying to speak more about it. But this was my very first classical or traditionally oriented architecture project right here. And the second exercise was something I decided to call Pabellón del Sol, which is the Pavilion of the Sun in Spanish. And this is a pavilion for that same park where you're supposed to enter through here. So this is the pavilion inside of that park. And here I wanted to go a little bit more complex. I decided to use a Doric order at the bottom, or the ground floor, which is really the only accessible floor. And the second level of the structure is in Ionic order. And you can see here, this is a kind of complicated drawing to read, but you have in this first quarter on the top left, a facade elevation of the building. You can see the stairs leading up to it, the doorway here at the back, and then this top cylinder-like body made up of the Ionic columns with a tiny attic piece up here. This is a section cut through the building, so you get to see structurally how this is working. You see the pinnacles continuing in the back. And I added this here because I wanted to make it so as when you walk into the space, you look up and you have a huge light well, and you have tons of light coming in through a glass ceiling. So it's hidden from the outside, but when you come in, you look up and you find this surprise. You find something at the top. And down here, split in half, is the ground floor cut plane. And then that cut plane is elevated to somewhere above here in the middle of that cylindrical body. And then enlargements of both orders that I used. And here we finally arrive to exercise number 3. So as Pablo mentioned, I am born and raised in San Diego, and I am specifically a native to the area of San Isidro. And for everyone to get to know San Isidro a little bit more, this is an area that is right next to the border with Mexico. I literally live less than 100 meters from the Mexico border. And there is a lot of interesting characteristics about it. So for example, all of this territory used to be Kumeyaay territory, which was a tribe, a Native American tribe that dominated this area in particular between current day San Diego and Tijuana. After the Mexican independence in 1829, there was a land grant given to a family here in this region. And the Rancho Tijuana, or the Tijuana Ranch, was established with a population of about 20 or 40 people. It was a very, very sparsely populated area. And most of the workers of that ranch were Kumeyaay members. And then later comes the Mexican-American War. A new border line is established, cutting right through the middle of Kumeyaay territory and Rancho Tijuana. And so this is all of a sudden a border region, when it used to be just smack middle of Mexico. And over time, people started populating this area. And in about 1909, the Little Landers colony was established as an agricultural establishment, where many people would come from the east, trying to establish the west, trying to populate it, develop it more. And they started by just having lots of land with lots of space to plant for agriculture. And slowly over time, it started becoming more important because of its closeness to Tijuana. The prohibition of alcohol caused a lot of Americans to go to Tijuana to drink because they were able to drink in Tijuana. And so the border crossing here gained a lot of popularity. More people started living here. And eventually in 1959, the city of San Diego decided to annex it and maintain control over the border crossing. Its current population today is 26,000 people. The demographic is largely Hispanic, Mexican, including myself, making up 92%, and American and other and 8%. We have a median low socioeconomic level. The governing entity, as I mentioned, is the city of San Diego and the state of California. And its main features, again, are the US-Mexico border, which is one of the most cross borders in the world. We are the third busiest border in the world, #1 in the Western Hemisphere, with about 90,000 crossings only northbound daily, which means many of those people have to come back to Tijuana. So you can double that number if you want to count the amount of times people cross the border. This area of San Isidro is mostly residential. It's mostly small local businesses, no huge chains, at least not a lot. And the majority of the buildings are 3 stories max. So it's not as densely populated as other parts of San Diego. San Diego is a big city, and we are about 30 minutes away driving distance from downtown San Diego up north. And it's a relatively quiet area. There's not a lot of movement. It's not very busy. And so for my project, I wanted to keep it that way, but I'll get into that in a second. So going back to this map, this red polygon is my area of intervention. And this is a close-up aerial photograph of that area. So here there are some things I would like to point out, like this street down here. This one is Via de San Isidro. It is an access lane to this area, comes right below the freeway. It's a 4-lane road. And then it connects to San Isidro Boulevard, which is the main boulevard of San Isidro, as the name suggests. It is a 4-lane road, 2 lanes one way, 2 lanes the other way. And we have a community park in the center of this strip. So you have a community center here as part of the park, this green area with very large trees around here, a small playground area for kids, a basketball court, a tennis court, a parking lot par excellence, and then here a public library, which is not used and is almost abandoned. Only it's used as a juvenile center where children go and play video games in there. So there's a lot of things that could be better used, like that space, like the San Isidro Library. And other roads to consider are just East and West Park Lane, this one being West Hall Avenue, and Cottonwood on this north and south. Via de San Isidro has almost all the commercial buildings or existing commercial buildings that you will see in the upcoming Noli map. Well, everything else is residential, but it is largely scattered. So this is the existing Noli map. As you can see, there are mostly commercial spaces here. I left these as white, so you're able to access them. But there's even few, it could be more, but there's a lot of spaces here, like for example, these houses which are abandoned and they used to be shops, but they're permanently closed and nothing has been done with them. This is a park here that was established to try to foment or to promote people going outside, to be in a park, to be in an outdoor space, but it's largely unused. I've been here. And this is the public library, which I mentioned. This is that whole strip, which is almost entirely open to the public, as you could see, with some exceptions. More commercial spaces around these areas, and everything else largely single-family housing with large patios, and even some abandoned lots that just have old rusty cars collecting dust since 50 years ago. And you do see in San Isidro, because of the need for density and densification, some new developments that have been occurring, as you could see here in the north. This area I left untouched because it's been developed in the last 2 years, 2-3 years. And these are 4 to 5 story tall apartment buildings, with everything else being just parking space. And they're completely modern. They're completely disconnected from everything else around San Isidro. It's a sort of gated community, and there is nobody outside. It's a gated community where there is no community, really. And when I was doing this Noli map, I took it upon myself to ride around my bicycle, walk around here, because in the US, as many of you probably know, it's not common to walk or to use your bike as a mode of transportation, at least not in the majority of the country. And even though there are some bike lanes that have been established because San Diego wants to make a change to become a better city, to be more walkable, to be more outdoor friendly, it was almost near impossible for me to ride my bicycle without having to get off and walk many long distances, because it is totally unbikeable. It is unwalkable too. The sidewalks are very narrow. There is no maintenance, and it's dangerous too. It feels dangerous. There's very few people outside. There's no people seeing you. You feel very isolated when you're walking through here, and especially when you're walking through all of these alleys that are very long, very continuous, and have no breaks in them. So it's just a long tunnel spatially that you walk down, and there's no escape from there. And so this is the existing Noli map. But there are other things there are things I propose to fix this. One last thing I want to mention before I continue is when you come through the streets, to be able to access this park, to cross the railroad tracks, this is a trolley or a tram railroad. If you want to get to this area and cross to the other side of the tracks, you need to drive up here, turn right on San Isidro Boulevard, and then you need to make another strange turn here on East Park Avenue. And when you come back, you do the same in the opposite direction. And this right here causes much traffic, causes much conflict. And it's like a hose filled with water that's bent, and there's a lot of tension and pressure there. So that's also one of the main components of my proposal. And this is my proposed null map. So we obviously densify a lot. Everything that is in black is private. It is areas that you cannot access publicly, that are not accessed by the public. I connect and continue the street. I continue via the San Isidro straight so that we avoid that strange turn that happens here in both directions. So now the access to the park is straight. You have a visual line going straight into the park. And then here, this new two-lane road splits into two. This one-way, continuing maintaining this as a one-way street and maintaining this as a one-way street, where they converge here. We have a new established church here. I combined the lots so that this becomes like a monumental piece in front of the park and in front of San Isidro Boulevard. All of the red areas are new proposed commercial areas or commercial lots, all on the ground floor, and above that, they would all be residential areas. But we give a lot more commercial space to San Isidro Boulevard, to this area around the corner. There is a grocery store here that I didn't mention. All of these that are smaller black boxes are single-family residential areas. All of these more houseman type structures are multifamily. And the park is maintained in its majority. We keep the tennis court and the basketball courts because they're very popular. A lot of people use them. We add a kiosk here in front of the church. And over here, as compared to how we currently have this park, the community center is here. And in order to see this, you have to walk back. It's kind of secluded away from everything. And by shifting that community center up north and not interrupting the trees here, which is why I left this area untouched, you now have all of this area as open, visible. And I added also a separation here from the train tracks so that you're not so close, at least in this area. And so there's constant circulation. I read thoroughly through Barry's Houseman and came to many conclusions that I thought would help me in this project, like cutting up the blocks more so that there was more options when you're traversing through the space. It is said in the book, at least that the best cities like Paris have a lot of small blocks and there is no large continuous blocks like the existing Noli map. So I wanted to make that very clear. And this is my proposed Noli. And this is my proposed roof plan. Lots more colorful, a lot more detailed, a lot more artistic than the other one, not so diagrammatic. You can see that I added many trees, many needed trees and vegetation here. I added another small corridor here. This is a pedestrian corridor, which is where the shops are located at. And this becomes a second node in this area of San Isidro. You have this area which is paved entirely with some trees, paved with adoquin, cobblestone, I don't know, and a small fountain in the center at the end of this. And then again, this park, as you can see. And for my next slide, I will show you some of the precedents that I used and inspiration. So stylistically, I used a lot of the local architecture. I wanted to maintain this very California, and I wanted it to show California. I don't want people to think of anything else when they see this, but there is a lot of Hispanic influence, so there will be references to other parts of the world. Some of them are Santa Fe Depot here in San Diego, an old train station that is preserved in downtown. Balboa Park, which is the jewel of San Diego and was established in the Panama World Fair earlier in the last century. and it's huge. There's too many photos of this that I would just have a whole slide just dedicated to Balboa Park. I highly recommend you check it out. We have Misión San Diego de Alcalá, which is the first mission, Catholic mission, established in California by Junipero Serra. We have the Mission Inn Hotel, very special hotel in Riverside up north. The Piazza del Sol in West Hollywood, just showing a densified housing project done in a more traditional style. And this one was a recommendation from Pablo, which I really accepted and really connected to, which is Hotel Alfonso XIII in Sevilla. And this establishes, or this shows very well my intent with these internal courtyards for all of these multifamily spaces, where you have, like in Europe, which is not as common here in the United States, a shared courtyard in the center where everybody can, come together, enjoy, have a park, have paved, have tables, have whatever you like. So this is open to interpretation, but that space is definitive. And this is roughly the same dimension, same scale of what I wanted to do. And here is my street elevation. Just for context, I will go back a couple of slides. That street elevation starts here on West Hall Avenue and continues all the way down to the church. So it is half of this. That is as much as I could get into one sheet. And here is some pictures of the progress and the work that I was doing over the course of many weeks, trying to determine which was the best layout for my streets, practicing my elevations before choosing the ones that I like the most and placing them here. And just for fun, also just making a aerial isometric to get an idea of what this would look like, volumetrically. And here is an enlarged version of that street elevation. With all that being said, I thank you very much for taking the time to be here to see our presentations. We highly appreciate your time and your critique as well. I'm open to questions, open to critique, open to whatever you like. Hope I did not make it more than 10 minutes. I probably did.
No, I think it was great. Well, thank you very much, Miguel. I mean, any one of the jury, we can follow the same scheme. We can do Georgia, Sylvia, Brandon, and Julio. No, as we do Georgia, Julio, Sylvia, and Brandon, as we did before. So it's up to you, members of the jury, to decide.
Okay, I will start. Apologize to the previous student that I started suddenly with critiques and I didn't praise enough his qualities because the project was quite fantastic. And the same I can say about this project. I like it very much. His drawing quality, it's amazing. And I like very much the transparent grays. This gives a lot of finesse to everything and depth, and it's very human, everything that you draw. And considering that this is your first traditional architecture project, it's an extraordinary fact and very, how to say, optimistic that in non-traditional architects there are hidden traditional architects. You only have to encourage and discover them to start designing in a different way. As observation, looking on the Google map, I see that the scale of what you propose is totally different from the existing. And it's more like a question than a critique. So you tried, in fact, to show to the modern, to those who sooner or later will start redeveloping the area, that there are other ways of increasing density rather than what's already they did, the building that you preserved, those built 2 years ago.
Yes.
Because it's a very big difference of the existing. You feel that this will come and then you want to show them how to do it properly, right?
Yes. What could be a possibility if we sit down and talk and, we see what is possible, an alternative.
I see.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful. It doesn't connect with what's around. but in itself, it's very beautiful and can be a beautiful precedent. Congratulations.
Georgia, I see there UK and Romania. Are you Romanian?
Yes,
Mulțumesc.
cu multă plăcere.
Am I next?
Yes.
First of all, congratulations for such a thoughtful project, Miguel. I commend you for the quality of the drawings, but let me start from the urban planning point of view. Can you please go back to the slide where your plan is shown?
Yes, this one or the other one?
Either one.
Okay, let's stay with this.
It shows a great approach. It contains many interesting elements. And I have a question. Have you considered, because I see, let me see if I can get the cursor, please.
Yeah, there's also the option, Julio, to
Yes.
annotate, and we
Yes,
could all see that.
but I'm sorry, I prefer the cursor because let me see. It's been a while since COVID when we used this for critique. So I'm sorry.
No
I
worries.
can't remember where I get the cursor.
No worries.
Okay. Is it oriented to the north? Is the north up?
Yes, it's all
Okay,
north
so-
oriented.
Thank you. The northernmost units that I see, are they purely residential, as you said? Can
Yes.
you confirm that? So I was wondering if you, in your research, you found that the mixed use is also part of this area in San Diego, because that's another way to approach the urban design in such a way that it combines commercial on the ground floor and residential on the top, and that way you not only add density, but you create a better urban realm in terms of
Correct.
scale.
Correct.
So is mixed use something that is part of the tradition of this area of the city?
No, it is not. It is
Or
not.
it is not? Okay.
No, not part of the tradition. Residential and commercial uses are very, very separated,
Separate?
much like the rest of the zoning in the
Okay,
United
I
States.
advocate for the integration of both for a reason, because zoning separation is something that modernistic approaches to urbanism contributed to destroy the traditional city.
Correct.
So what we find in the traditional city is commerce is on the ground floor, and then is very important because it activates the urban realm. It activates public life. It
Yes.
activates the streets. In that regard, I really praise the clarity and the connectivity of your grid. I appreciate that you got back to the grid and you created a very sensitive block structure. This is disregarding my former comment. I also appreciate the pedestrian strip with the fountain as a vista terminus and all that. I think that adds a lot to your scheme in the same way the inner block spaces do. I'm glad that you brought the Alfonso 13 Hotel. It's a great building. It's a wonderful courtyard. Thank you, Pablo, for suggesting that. I was there recently, and I celebrate the inspiration and the use of that precedent in terms of the scale, in terms of the wonderful quality of the enclosure that it brings. I also celebrate how you created this public building terminating the axis of this street, and also creating public green spaces on both sides. I think that is a great move, and also the inclusion of this church over here. One of the extra qualities of your urban proposal is the strong urban edges that very much help to configure the blocks in a wonderful way. And again, I praise the connectivity that you provided with your scheme. I believe that I see the presence of courtyards in the residential, but also across the board here. So I celebrate courtyards. I'm the author of a book about Cuban courtyards myself, and I've done a lot of research about courtyards in the world. So I believe that is part of our Hispanic architecture tradition.
Most
So thank
definitely.
you very much and congratulations.
Thank you, Julio. Thank you for all of the comments and the praise.
So I agree with Julio Cesar and George about the designing of the plan. I really love your design, and I really love the fact that you first studied the area and you took your time to go around by bike or to walk over there so you can understand what they call the genius loci, so the mood or the spirit of the place. And but the only thing that I didn't understand, and so maybe you can answer me, is for that reason you implement the density of the residential area. So it seems there are less courtyards in the upper part of your plan, and it's just a question, you know.
Yes.
And another question, but this is in a certain sense too Italian, maybe. If you have a church of this size, you have to, or a shop area of this size, you have to think about parking lots. So where these people are going to park, or I don't know if in your area you can dig and put all the cars down or underground. So there are two questions: the density and the parking lot. And I love the fact that you left the green area and you put on a fountain. And I hope that if you are developing the plan, or you or anyone else can implement the squares or spaces for everybody to walk in.
Yes. So just Silvia, thank you. Again, could you just reiterate the first question, just so that it's more clear? In terms of the density, you were asking.
For what reason in the northern part of your plan you implement the density of the houses? It seems that compared to the old plan, there are more houses.
Oh, in this one, you mean?
Compared to the Noli map.
Correct. Okay, so the explanation for this is the existing Noli map, just revisiting it a little bit. It's very scattered, like I mentioned. There's many small pockets of houses just here and there, and lots of the area that is gray, all of the gray area, maybe I didn't explain that clearly, is just open space. It's patio, it could be parking lot, it could be anything. It's not built. It's not something that has a roof over your head. It's not conditioned space, but it belongs to the private property. So it is technically unbuilt area that is inaccessible to the public. So technically, I would not say that it is a courtyard, but a patio, or it could be a parking lot. And if we look closely to the houses, there isn't really any courtyards here. There's no internal patio. There's no
Big mistake.
What's that?
Big mistake.
Yeah, there's no cavity inside the building footprints. So what I do with this proposal is that I increase the density so that we have proper city, we have proper city walls. I also read the Art of Classic Planning by Dr. Buras, and it mentions how we perceive streets as rooms, And so I wanted to create those rooms because we didn't have those rooms. That's what I'm doing with this densification. I give the multifamily residences a central courtyard, a very obvious central courtyard, like in Hotel Alfonso. And all of these that are single family houses, which are max 2 stories high, also have individual courtyards inside of each of them. So I basically reduce, let's say, front patio, back patio, and I put the patio inside of the house. I put it contained within its 4 walls. So that's what I do with that. And the second question, in terms of parking, this area to the west is more resolved in terms of parking. These are all single family houses. And another thing that the book and a lot of the things that we study in the course say is that you don't want to have breaks in your sidewalk or in your walking line when you're walking down a block. And that means a ramp where a car can go on, because consciously or subconsciously you read that as an area that doesn't entirely belong to you as a pedestrian, but an area that can be invaded by a car at any moment. And when you have a continuous street with no breaks, you can calmly walk down it. You know, obviously there can be an accident, but that's like a very extreme case. But that entire sidewalk is yours as a pedestrian. Nobody else can use it with a car or anything. And so all of the fronts of the houses do that. They're built all the way to the front of the property line. And in the middle of all of these lots, there is a gray strip, and that is a private alley that is only accessible by the residents. And they're able to come inside with their car. This is roughly about 6 to 7 meters wide, just for some scale. And you're able to park with a garage maybe in the back of the house, but you don't see the car in the front. You don't see it. And in terms of the multi-family residential, I did not contemplate parking. We were also told, you know, design this as if there were no cars. So just consider the cars, but at the same time, we need to densify, and maybe one of these structures could be used as a parking lot or a parking structure. Like, again, one of the examples used in the Art of Classic Planning, it's a parking lot somewhere in the United States. I forgot where it was, but it is clad in a traditional facade so that it blends in with the rest of the city and it doesn't stick out as an eyesore.
Thank you. In any case, good work. I think it's clear, okay?
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Silvia?
Yes, thank you.
Of course.
I'll jump in here. Miguel, from someone that is from San Diego once upon a time and very familiar with the precedents and this part of the city, I applaud you. You've done a fantastic job. I think the urban intervention and the architecture fit very well, and very much would improve this location. While we're on this plan, one thing I was going to say that maybe could improve. I really love the connection that you have with that vertical linear park, right, and the ending at the terminus of the church. A very good classic planning principle. One thing I was wondering is if you could visually connect that with the diagonal road that's kind of heading to the northwest, or the southeast there, as that is coming down. If you were to extend the plaza, right, and make it more, then you could at least have kind of a visual connection to someone in maybe the commercial area, in that. And then the other thing I think would be helpful also is to see how this development continues onto that southern part of the street there, and especially the road across from the church. I think that would be, you know, if you're to go one more step beyond this, I would say that would be a key important element to study and see how could you extend this intervention, especially if that street there, I can't remember the name of it, but if that's the main commercial corridor and the like, I think that would be a good helpful study. But Can you go back to your elevation drawings real quick?
Sure. Do you want this one or do you want the full street elevation?
Yeah, this one is great. Yeah, beautiful hand, beautiful graphics, everything that's been said. I could definitely see this fitting into the spirit of the place, has been mentioned there in San Diego. It feels very reminiscent of some of the architecture there. I think you've done an excellent job with some of the scale and the massing of all of this. And that was going to be one of my concerns I was curious about, is how this would work. But I think you've done a very nice job with articulating with the skyline, and I saw Nikos Salingaros join us here, but some of the fractal qualities that you have with the skyline are fantastic. So congratulations, excellent work.
Thank you very much. May I ask, Brandon, where you're from in San Diego?
Up north, Oceanside area.
Okay, yeah, you're on the other side of the city for me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Miguel, and thank you everyone for the critique and the wonderful proposal that Miguel has done. We are going to make another jump now. We're going to from the sunny San Diego to the sunny, sometimes, Bergen, and we are going to have our a student, Oscar Oldegoy, who is going to present his proposal. And he's going to be a bit quick because he's about to get a flight. So, Oscar, the space is yours.
Thank you. Let me just share my screen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, very well.
Okay, good. Sometimes there's this, please don't leave your luggage unattended announcement, so I'll have to apologize. But can you see my screen?
Yes.
Well, yes, welcome. Oops. There we go. It says Oscar Aldre for you now. Oops. There we go. All right, so my name is Oscar. I have 40 minutes until boarding, and I'm currently in Rome. I am a fourth-year architecture student at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology in Trondheim, Norway. And like Pablo said, we're now going to the, I would say, sunny Never city of Bergen in Norway. But first, this is the other exercises we did. This was the first exercise, not the portico, the portal, which is a sort of triumphal arch with the Corinthian order and some motifs on the top, and one big arch in the middle and two smaller arches to help with the composition. And then the second project that we did was mausoleum, or this freestanding building. This was my first attempt at an analytique, so it could have been certainly a lot more interesting and spicy, but this was my first attempt. It's also watercolored. Here you see, just thought as a series of spaces, very simple plan and very simple section, also done in the Doric order. So it's also equally a study of composition with the Doric order. And then for the urbanist project, there is currently an urban development going on in my hometown of Bergen. It's in the west coast of Norway. So this is like, you have Europe, this is north of Europe, and then you have Bergen, which is the west of Norway. This is what the city itself looks like. And you see it's quite densely packed with a lot of like rigid street grids here, but also some very more vernacular, almost medieval urban structure. And the area that I've been working with now, it's this area down here. It's usually a dockyard, and they're no longer going to be using it as a dockyard. It's going to be moved over here. And so all of this is incredibly central, and they're now going to develop all of it into residential mixed-use area. So this is Bergen. It is a very old city. It's at least 1,000 years old, with a lot of wooden houses, lots of hills. It's one of the most rainy cities in all of Norway. I think it's the second most rainy city. It does have a lot of Hanseatic influences because it's on the west coast and has a lot of history, collaborating or doing trade with the Netherlands, Germany, etc., the Baltic countries. and various. Some it's done in brick, some is done in wood. But you also have, yeah, some more of these Asiatic influences, but you also have the neoclassical influences that come from the rest of Europe and also from Denmark, Sweden specifically. And this is what it usually looks like. It's foggy, it's wet, not a lot of sun. And of course, you can't build anything above maybe 4 to 5 stories, because then you won't see the sun ever for a whole year. So this is it's very different from California. This is the area. It's now going to be developed as 2 separate parts. The southern part is already a lost cause because it's already been approved, so they're going to start doing it. This isn't going to be touched until 2050, which is why this is also done in collaboration or while speaking with politicians of Bergen that would like to promote this and also hope that we can actually have some influence before they start developing this northern part of the dockyard. These are some current illustrations, not by me, but what they're thinking of doing. And it's, you know, if they built this, it would be probably the most beautiful thing built in Norway for 50 years because it actually has sloped roofs. But generally, it doesn't look very good. Windows are all over the place. There's some boxes, very strange urbanism, balconies everywhere, etc. You do actually have some arches. That's the first in Norway. So this is the general area. Now it does have some existing buildings. Most of them are industrial buildings that will, by the time they will start developing this area, they will probably have to be demolished. Usually, and of course, you could transform these, but this is also done partially as a statement into a current debate going on in Norway. And I think we're now developing this area, this urban fabric. I think when you're going to develop it, it should be developed on the premises of the people who's actually going to be living here, on the theory of how we do cities, and not on the premises of a 50, 60-year-old cruise terminal. I don't think that's a good way of starting to do urbanism. But of course, you could do transform this. But for this project, this is my very rigid, continuing the very strict urban grid and urban fabric of the city over here. And then you have this part with some more wooden houses. And then to keep the sort of urban density, to make this a realistic proposal, I found it more fitting to actually do these like big courtyards. It's because of light, you have bigger streets than you usually would have in, say, Italy, with public parks on the different places. Zooming in here, places to park boats that generate income for the municipality and also the area itself. A very strict grid plan. Continuing this, courtyards, public building for the university that currently needs bigger buildings or another building. Public parks, lots of greenery, small gardens in front and bigger gardens in the courtyards themselves. And also zooming a bit in here, you can see some of the parts. Most of them are bigger apartment complexes for mixed-use development, but some of them to create a variation of typologies, almost inspired by the muse that you find in Britain. You have these smaller townhouse typologies, so you can actually have families here too. And also activating the seafront by having a ferry that connects the other parts of the city in this northernmost part. So this is, first of all, this is a watercolor. It's done on 100 by 70 centimeter paper, so it's quite big. And this is also, that was a problem when scanning this because this is 120 centimeters long, but this is a long section of this area right here, if you can see my cursor, just to show both how it would meet the ocean, how the streets would be proportioned, some variations in terms of color that's unique to the place, and also styles, like all the way from the Hanseatic influences to the neoclassical and the more stripped down classical architecture, but also the more historicism and playful architecture. And I think this part of it, the zoomed in part, shows this really this dynamic between all of these different styles, having them in unison. I think, yeah, I really like this photo. This is of the city. You really have, it's very eclectic, and that's some of the part of the charm of the city. So I wanted to have this sort of same feeling, mixed use, nothing above 5 to 6 stories. This is even a bit too high, but again, to make it a partially realistic proposal for even a developer, they would need to build this height some places. Yeah. So moving on, this is how it will look here. And also, just for fun, because these are my own drawings, moving forward, I tried feeding them into an AI just to see what would happen. And this is what the AI says it might look like. And of course, this isn't very realistic because there's too much light and it's way too, the weather is too clear. So this is probably what it would more likely look like. But even then, it feels uniquely Bergen. If you ask any Norwegian, they would certainly say that this is definitely Bergen. And here too, in just the normal spring, summer, winter weather that we have, this is what I hope it could become now when we move forward in 2015. And here you also see the drawings themselves. I think that's a good good place to stop. Yeah, so thank you. That was my very, very quick just moving through this. Oops. So,
Okay, so I should start to make it shorter.
Yes, please.
I like very much, of course, everything that Oscar drew. He's amazing. We all know he's an international star by now. All his drawings are impressive, big, fantastic, extraordinary. I like also the elevation very much. I like your proposal. But what I would have liked to see was like some more accident in this train. Because if I look at the other side of the city, I see that although you have after these buildings, there is a sort of train, there are some diagonal streets or round, or so it's too orderly. Somehow it's too much discipline. I like discipline, but not too much. And
I totally agree.
Maybe on the
biggest regret.
side, yes, it's just the first feeling. I like then very much how you open the middle of the end of the development. It reminds me of Greenwich, the Royal Hospital. Maybe I can't remember if you have an elevation on this axis, the one with park, to see if you have accents there, some towers or something else to enhance the symmetry of that park, because this will be seen from afar, I think, from the water. So you can have something more powerful on that area, which opens to the sea.
Oh yeah, the northern part. Yes, I don't have it shown here, or I don't have it drawn out. But the idea was to have this bigger public building to really tie this area together. But then, yeah, you could have a spire, for instance, or were you thinking like having a spire in the park?
Yes, I think from afar you will see all this front like one composition, one big, and should work very nice as a representative. And going back to this more a bit of disorder in this very nicely organized space, maybe those parks which are, I see that you are breaking any 2 blocks, you create a little park. I don't know, maybe to introduce like a curved facade. I don't know if it's specific to be more enveloping. Everything is too rectangular. So that's my only observation. Otherwise, beautiful elevations, everything is fantastic. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to say that we push Oscar a lot to design the grid. So if there is any, the issue with the grid is also the fault of Dr. Buras and myself as professors, because we force him, we push him a lot to go for the grid.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
In this case,
well,
there must be a reason for the grid, a very important one.
there are several, Georgia. May I speak?
Yes, of course.
Thank you for suggesting or enforcing the use of the grid. The grid is the most important tool in terms of giving order to any territory. It goes back to the Greeks, to Hippodamos de Mileto. You can take a look at the city of Mileto, of course, and there are many examples. The grid was also used by the Romans, who learned the grid was learned from the Greeks. So the Romans used it not only for cities but for agriculture. There was and allow me to say this because it's important in terms of learning from history, learning from the past, and aiming at the future. It was not only just used for cities, but also for agriculture, as I said. And this is the embryo of the castrum. I don't know if you're familiar with the term, that was used for the Roman encampments. And that was later even brought to Seville specifically, which was a Roman city, as you may know better, Pablo, and also for the many cities that the Romans founded in Spain and the Hispanic Peninsula, the Spanish Peninsula, and later brought to Hispanic America, because the Spaniards were obsessed with order. They needed it, and they used it. They used it extensively. Just so you know, Hispanic American urbanism is featuring both the grid and the square as their major urban planning elements. So you find it everywhere. Going back to the plan, first of all, Oscar, congratulations for your great plan. It shows the maximum order and the combination of both the built mass and free open public spaces. And I find that the grid you created is very effective. I celebrate the access whose vista terminus is the public building, and how you created this extensive green across the sea, across the water. I think that the grid is also oriented to the water. What I would advocate for is a little bit of a more hierarchy in the street sections. You have a limited variety of street sections here, and a more variety would contribute to a better sense of the public realm and the better creation of streetscapes. I also believe that the squares, the green squares that you create, are very much in tune and replicated by the courtyards. I speak in my books about the relationship between the square in the public realm in urbanism and the courtyard in the private or residential buildings in architecture. In terms of scale, squares at the urban scale, courtyards at the architectural scale, and the relationship is wonderful. And it's also wonderful that you see these courtyards as green courtyards. Having been to Norway several times, I praise the culture and how sensitive it is to nature. In terms of architecture, I believe that the urban character that is reflected in the city and that is embraced by your project is reflected in the architecture in the best way possible in terms of massing, scale, and detailing. I also praise the emphasis on corner buildings and how these towers contribute to the image of your proposal. So thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
I'll be very quick because you have to catch the plane. So it's and also because my opinion is extremely positive. So I love also the first two exercises, considering that they are your first attempt. So well done. And the only thing that I'm thinking about the grid is that you have to consider in the wind, because you are in front of the ocean. And so if the wind catches his way on a grid, can be really tough. Okay, so maybe in the medieval times they use not a grid just to avoid the wind that brings velocity, or it is too fast. Okay, and the other thing that I was just suggesting, add some arches or some part in the building in which the people can walk underneath, because if it is very rainy, can be useful for. It's better to live in a town that can give you some shelter from the rain. But that's it. It's just only a suggestion. But good work, really.
Thank you.
Oscar, it's good to see you again. Fantastic work. I agree with all the comments that have been said so far. I really like the eclectic architectural proposals that you have been studying in this. I think it naturally feels like an extension of the city into this part, and very much would be well received by those living there. Just having been recently returned from Oslo, as you know, there's other parts in that same area that have kind of done the opposite, and they are not filled with people. So this definitely is a people attractor. I think your watercolors are very beautiful as always. I applaud you for attempting the analytique for the first time. Very good job there on your previous work and exercises. If you could go back to the urban plan again, your proposal, that would be great. I agree with everything that's been said about the grid. I do sympathize a little bit with Georgia, what she was saying about the more organic, some of the interventions that could create some other interest and things like that. And I think you've started to do this with some of your little pocket parks and the like throughout your proposal, and I think those are very successfully done. But overall, I think this is a great proposal. I really also liked the connection with the local ferry there to connect other parts. So excellent work. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for all the comments and the feedback.
Thank you, Oscar, for having made the time. I think that the only thing that got a bit remaining, because obviously the project is big and there is a development, there was going to be a tower in this location that obviously because of lack of time it was never developed, but would have been all the counterpart and all the counterbalance that it has been mentioned in the jury. That tower, that lighthouse would have compensated the whole rigidity of the grid. And at the same time, I mean, obviously for those of you who don't know and those of you who knows, you know that at the Classic Planning Institute, we are very much promoters of grid urbanism, Haussmannian urbanism, and whilst we don't deny the virtues of more organic growth, as we're going to see in some of the others, we encourage always the use and importance of the grids. So thank you very much, Oscar, for the proposal. Have a good flight back. We'll see you. We hope to see you very, very soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So who wants to come next? We still have 4 more to go. We have Ricardo Buratti, Moshel Fassi, Mario Rangel, and Dan Erdelli. Ricardo, your turn.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's wait a second. I'm gonna share the screen. Do you see?
Yes.
All right. Good evening and welcome to my presentation. I see that others included their preliminary assignments. It's something that I didn't do because otherwise I couldn't fit within the given time, but I will add them later on for the record if it's needed. Before beginning, I have to say I had huge fun in this course, and it was an emotional roller coaster, going from total desperation on the brink of giving up because I felt inadequate to the will to fight on whatever the cost. It was a fight primarily with myself, with my psychology and my technical limits. And I can say out loud that I shifted those limits further, far more than expected. That was a task I won because I completed all the assignments. I made them the way I wanted. I put a lot of love, care, and sweat into them, and they look good to me, at least. I'm happy and proud, although I see hundreds of details where there's room for improvement. And the most striking thing is that 1 year ago, I was almost not able to do all of this. So I just needed an extra kick of something which a few people can do. Pablo is among them. So an extra thanks to Pablo in particular. And yeah, let's begin. This is a summary of the 3 main assignments. I tried to interpret each of them differently, always exploring a different angle of classical architecture. And I'm going to present you each of them, explaining what is the rationale that brought me to design that thing and why. So this is the assignment 1, the first and probably most technical assignment. Here I tried to create a melodramatic and playful composition in which I gave myself a hard time solving various fitting problems. In the end, it's pretty straightforward with a giant Corinthian order intertwined with a minor Ionic one, and those kind of shell arches that were actually very difficult to set out, at least at that time. So this exercise left me pretty satisfied. Assignment 2 is where I realized my old dream of drawing a sort of proto-Palladian building, a typology very common in northern Italy, especially in the Venetian inland, and the chimneys reveal its precise geographic location anyway. I took the occasion to explore the section and the interior a little bit, while creating myself some challenges to solve here too, like the intersection of the classical pronaos or portico here and the late medieval central body of the building. I kind of invented a story here where a building evolved through time and styles. So this is was the second exercise. And yeah, here I took the liberty to add an extra slide so you can see a bit closer due to incompatibility between a landscape and portrait format. Okay, so this is the assignment 3. It's the most laborious of the 3, which I interpreted in a completely urban scale, urban design point of view. Here, buildings and their design cover a secondary role, maybe even tertiary. My main goal here was to provide a manifesto of my conception of contemporary urban design. That's why the location of the project has a very relative importance, except for things like typology and styles. It's rather about showing ways of aggregation, circulation, and solutions for coherence of space gradients between fully public and fully private. I used a computer as little as possible, then shifted to hand drawing and rendering in a sort of mixed media workflow. But first, let's take a quick look at the context. We are here in the city of Ghent, Flemish city, capital of East Flanders. As you can see in the diagram, here we are located pretty much outside of the town center. Here it is a complete suburb everywhere. It shows the town of Wondelgem as a sub-municipality of Ghent, of which you can still faintly see in the aerial pictures the trace of the original hamlet, which is actually here. And all the rest is was an agricultural landscape that was completely eaten up by sprawling suburbia. In the area I've chosen here in blue, a small farm building is still surviving, clumped up within the sprawl, giving us testimony of the once upon a time character of this place. As I said, we are in the north part of Ghent. On the map here below, you can see the red dashed line, which is the ring, the outer ring of the city. And then we have a orange arrow here, which is an important local street. And then yellow lines which represent local secondary street. And this yellow one, it's my main artery, the one that is located here on the southern side of my plot. Then you see here on the top a comparison between the aerial picture and its Nolde map. In which it is evident that in this sprawled environment, there is no urban structure, no social interaction, no public space, no commercial activity, no squares or aggregation spaces. Green areas are just resulting cutouts from sprawled buildings, logics, and public or public accessible space is reduced to the narrow area between the roads and the front gardens of the villas situated there. Therefore, you see here in panel 1, the comparison between the existing Nolde map and the one I propose for my urban design. I drew inspiration from Dutch planning, which I studied pretty thoroughly, and merged it within the Flemish context, and then sprinkled it a bit with my Italian view on it. Being an utopian but still context-based project, I wanted to show by comparison how sprawls and suburbs are lacking of every urban character and structure and how they could be immensely enhanced. Here, I took a random hectare of suburb and completely redesigned it to show this. Above all, in this context, I would create a second town center beyond the old existing one. So we have here the old existing one, and here I would create a new one. In this way, I would help balance the suburb, redirecting movement flows, increasing density, and basically slowly reshaping the suburb and convert it into consolidated urban fabric. My design is based off the existing street grid which I enhanced by adding, enlarging, or prolonging existing street or relations, and by implementing a street hierarchy and structure that is explained on the scheme here on the left, where we will later dwell on. The whole design rests on the following principles, which are actually derived from the so-called blue-green urbanism, very popular in the Netherlands, and interpreted through my Italian cultural eyes. So the first one is using the existing road network. I set a boulevard that encompasses here, large road that encompasses and surrounds the project. This is the only fast movement and 2 lanes road with unrestricted vehicle access. This is a sort of infrastructure where I place the most dense building blocks, heavy duty public services, such as clinics, police stations, municipal offices, and parking. I have put 4 public open air parkings that you will see more clearly later on panel 2. From this boulevard, it is possible to move in, out, and around the project. So the second pillar is crossing of 2 main streets, this one and this one, that we can call them Cardus and Decumanus, or jokingly Pablo Strat or near Buras Strat, which create a sort of main frame for the urban fabric within the boundaries of our large boulevard. On the endpoints of those axes, I placed squares and main functions, commercial functions, as well on their intersections and along them. I sprinkled squares and public functions around this sort of network, exactly when you obtain a voltage between 2 electrically charged poles. You can see on the Nolan map how these axes are filled with those public accessible buildings. And yeah, the third pillar is in my project, the so-called green finger, this one, which expanding a pre-existing green area here, cuts through the whole development, joining the existing green area here in the north along the ring with the main existing local road axis here on the southern side, spatially evolving into the church square over here, which is the symbolic entrance to my urban design. Here, to better explain the hierarchy of between the streets, I enlarged this scheme, which shows the archetypal street typology. Various urban devices have been implemented to slow down the traffic, catch rainwater, provide parking space, ensure pedestrian movements, and those are not really visible on the big plan because yeah, scale is too big. So I took them into account in the design, but you won't see them very much. So on page 9 here, we see the general plan. You can see what I told you about the big boulevard and the functions scattered around it. What else? The denser, taller building blocks along it. I made a color scale with the building height, so you can see in a blink of an eye where the density is. Yeah, in the left corner here, I added a small sketch detailing the styles that I'm gonna use in this urban design. The bulk of my urban fabric is gonna be constituted by what I call the Flemish vernacular Gothic and Flemish classic neoclassic style. Those typologies will be the most common, the rank and file of my urban fabric, while the most more elaborate and taller buildings will be for denser or more important functions. Here I put together some reference. I see that I have a little misalignment problem, which I didn't notice, but those are pictures that I took around in Flanders and in Holland. The typologies are mixed with the location and with the density in order to create different urban blocks with a different personality and different features. So this would ensure a nice degree of variety in my project and populate the grid. So here I put together a Nolly and general plan, so you can infer more readily the relation between spatial usage and spatial planning. The whole picture of the project is built in your head as you compare the three panels, with the third panel zooming in, trying to represent the whole project in one picture that we will see in a moment. Here it is. The third panel showing the elevation, look, and feel of the different urban blocks with their own personality, and my conception of the genius logic, the spirit of the place. This panel helps you giving a shape to those top views and plans I've shown up to now, hopefully clarifying some doubts about the type of building and its functions. Here I zoom in on the new town square, the welcoming square, where I put a gateway with a clock tower, main church, college. All those functions are listed in the general plan. The botanic garden, baptistry, water features, and I found out while I was making this design that it's very utopian, because there are a lot of political problems which have to do with the culture of the built environment and the culture of the inhabitants, which have to be both compatible to each other. Otherwise, this will never work. But anyway, I took it. It looks pretty good to me. It's still an utopian project, and those sort of problems are only solvable through architecture as a tool of the political will. So as long as politicians don't do their job, I just stick to my designs. And I know the critic that Mr. Buras, Dr. Buras gave to me is that this isn't a urban scale design. It's a town scale design. It's a hectare of town. But that's the character of Flanders. In Flanders, even the big cities have this large town basic structure. And this is how we reach the end. I hope you liked my presentation. I hope you find my project inspiring. I hope you find the CPI also inspiring. And so thank you for the attention. And as a last thing, I wanted to say that my office is slowly phasing out, so I'm currently searching for any type of collaboration with classic and traditional architects anywhere in the world, so please contact me if you are interested. And this is it. Are there questions? Otherwise, next.
Thank you very much, Ricardo.
May I go first, since I need to leave?
Yes,
Sorry.
please, Julio. Yes.
Congratulations, Ricardo. Great project. is not only inspiring, but exemplary. And I disagree with you about the politicians. This is what we need to show them. This is what we need to do in order to teach them accordingly, for them to learn about the true character of cities and towns. And as you said, keeping or recreating the genius loci of places, because that's the most important determinant culture element for any place. So your contribution to placemaking is fabulous, and I praise it. I praise the layout, and I also praise the block structure, the scale of the project, the street network hierarchy, and the integration with the green. I think you've done a great job across the board, and this is one of the cases, where you can find that the more organic grid is effective. I would not do a grid item here, but I would rather do what you did. So congratulations. On the other hand, and finally, the architectural analysis and the expression of the new proposed buildings is great. You've done a great job, not only the massing, but the facades and the rhythm they create, the articulation, everything is very, very well done. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Very happy to hear.
Thank you very much, Julio.
Next, I will be.
Yes.
Yes. First of all, very nice to see you, Ricardo, and to understand you better, seeing your work. It's not only the lightness and joyousness of Italian, but you show here a very, how to say, high depth of analysis. So you put so much work in this, and we can see that you analyze everything. You cut it in all directions. The sections are fantastic. You show the hierarchy, as Julio Cesar said. Everything is very carefully designed. And you managed to bring your personality to this plan, because I saw what's on the Google map. It's quite a sad, boring area, but you brought Italy and the joy of life in this without changing the genius loci. So you improved it very much. So we like your fantasies very much.
Thank you. I literally broke my back. Pablo knows.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a lot of work. So very, very hardworking. You are fantastic. Keep on the good job. And I hope you find a very interesting next position. Only congratulations. Thank you.
I can just only say good work, excellent work, in my opinion. And of course, I love the idea of having a Flemish, a connection between the Flemish architecture and the Italian way of living. So the genius loci of the place, because it's, I love the fact that the Classic Planning Academy can enhance your attitude to find it in a town, to find the genius loci of a town, because otherwise you cannot bring up ideas that can really show how you can live better in a town, just only adding green and squares and places where the people can go just to enjoy themselves. Okay, so I really love also the composition of the boards and the style of the buildings. They are not so different from which is the Ghent master plan or the Ghent idea. So really well done. And also the first two boards about the orders are well done. So excellent job, really.
Thank you a lot. Yeah.
I forgot to say something about the sections. I like very much how you introduced the parking on the basement in a very Bontempi style. So Italy again, it's a win-win. I suppose this lower level would be parkings, which have a bit of fresh air and they are semi-sunk.
Yeah, you can see the semi-sunk is what is the name of it's a living story is
So it's a basement. It's not really a.
the completely sunk is parking space.
I see. Okay, so there are some.
Yes.
Ricardo, fantastic job. I echo all of the comments and the praise that you've received so far. Excellent studies. I really appreciated your earlier studies as well, the beautiful gate and the pavilion. Those were very well done. So congratulations on that. This proposal, this urban proposal is I think, the last one we were kind of criticizing the overly grid layout. And I think what you've done here with the organic is very, very successful. It does create a little more interest. And I think you pulled it off really well. I love the architecture scale of, I think you called it the Flemish vernacular Gothic, and a bunch of how that mixed together. But that was excellently carried out. I do feel as well that you were able to really build off the sense of place here. And so congratulations, all of your graphics are beautiful. I love the bird's eye view that you did as well. That really tells the story, and you've really created a beautiful place. I want to go here.
Thank you. Very nice to hear that. Actually, I try to make Dr. Buras a bit happy because I wanted to go even more organic. So here I straightened it a little bit and I combine it with a formal axis and a little bit of grid. But as Georgia was saying, that there's need to be a little accident. The grid has to bend. But that's my personality. I don't like strict rules. I like rules up to a certain point. So that's what I did here.
Oh, it's fantastic. That was a good win-win.
Yeah, I think so. Unluckily, Dr. Buras is not here, but I would love to hear his criticism.
I mean, he's on a working meeting. He's just listening to us, but I'm sure that he will have his own comments. For Ricardo, I have to say for everyone attending that Ricardo has challenged himself quite a lot. You can see the two projects that he did. He did quite an interesting gate and the pavilion. I think that after doing the gate, the pavilion was very easy to be done, but the whole project itself, I mean, has been a massive challenge on how to implement everything and how to treat the Noli map, and something that at the same time hasn't been mentioned, or what one of our insistence on doing the Noli map. If you can move Ricardo to the Noli maps, the next one, yes. In this one of the things that it happens a lot in all this type of urbanism that is a bit like organic and open is that we feel that you have a lot of green space for you. And actually, if you analyze the image on the upper left corner, the public space is minimal. And compared with what Ricardo has done, he has massively increased the amount of public space while respecting the private space. So here, his proposal is a much more public and enjoyable than what you currently have, in the sense that we have lost. We don't have it. Yeah, it's green space, but it's private, so you cannot make an use of it, which is something, that reflection that we should take when we do urban sprawl. And that was the insistence of us for doing the Noli map to make everyone understand the difference and the power of the Noli map as a tool to analyze the space. But yeah, thank you very much, Ricardo. I mean, I think that I've been very challenging for you. I think that we have a lot of fun with all the projects, and then yeah, I mean, well done. And I'm sure that, I mean, of course, I mean, we I know that CPA is not a recruiting agency, but wherever
No.
we can, we will.
I'm exploiting the life.
Of course. No. But that's the idea. I mean, and if anyone is in need of a good architect who wants to challenge himself, you have his website there.
Yes.
Please go to Ricardo. You wouldn't get disappointed, because he will challenge himself and he will challenge himself in order to give you the best product possible.
Okay. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. So next one, we have Mr. Alfashi and Mr. Rangel, because Mr. Ardeli asked me to be the last one. So whoever you want, Mr. Alfashi or Mr. Rangel.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Alfashi, you win. It's all yours.
Okay, hello everyone, good evening. My name is Moshe Alfasi. I'm an architect from Israel. I live near Tel Aviv. I will apologize a little bit for my English. I hope you understand me well. Okay, my first exercise was the gate. I did an ionic gate with 3 passages and a round space between that you can pass from all directions. The second exercise was the pavilion. I did a 3-level pavilion with the 3 orders. The first floor is the rectangular with spaces in the corners. The second floor is octagonal, and the third floor is a dome, circle Corinthian with a dome. And the third exercise, it's located in a site between the city of Jaffa and the city of Tel Aviv, that is basically the same city today, municipally, in a site that is the old Ottoman railway station that not work today. It exists but not working. A few key points of planning was I wanted to continuity the streets, continuation to public spaces, and defining the boundaries of public spaces, make an urban blocks with courtyard and walkable passages between the blocks. This is the aerial view. The city of Jaffa is in the southwest corner. The city of Tel Aviv is in the east and northwest. This area with the roofs, the red roofs, are the Neve Tzedek neighborhood, is the first neighborhood of Tel Aviv. Almost all this area between Jaffa and Neve Tzedek is traditional buildings. There is, as you go east, there is more modern buildings. This is the aerial view with a plan that I did. This is a scheme with the extensions of the street. I wanted to extend the street from the southern neighborhood, from that past the Elat Street. The Elat Street is the road from Tel Aviv, from East Tel Aviv to Jaffa, and I wanted the street will extend up north. Also, I go back This line here is the actually rail line, old line that the Ottoman built. Today is a park, a line park that ends here. I wanted to extend it to the west to Jaffa, also to enter the preservation buildings complex that is this inside, and also up north, to extend it up north to the sea and open to the sea. This is the existing and the proposal plan. This is the Nolly analysis. You can see in the existing analysis all this area. Is like three parts. One part is a big parking lot. Another part is an industrial area, and in the middle you have the station, the old station complex that you have there preservation buildings. Part of this area it's closed to the public, and part of the area it's open to the public. So I wanted to extend. To start, I want to extend the park line with starting point with a gate that you enter. You finish the line, the park, and you enter to this complex that not most of, there is a building that are conserved here. Also to extend it to Jaffa and going out or going north for the opening to the sea after another gate. Precedence I took from the city of Jaffa. This is a mix of buildings that I saw there. You have the towers, the clock towers in the city. The old Saraya, it was the governor building from the time of the Ottomans. Churches with the Doric and Ionic styles, and building with the rustic corners. Also the gates to a patio or to a courtyard inside the neighborhoods. This is the final drawing. This elevation is the south elevation of the Elat Street. The section is from the Elat Street to the sea. It passes over I will show it here. The new train, okay, the subway train go below the old high ground train and come out from the ground toward Jaffa. So by extending the street, I make bridges over the tunnel that opening to the train. Also, I go back, every block has a courtyard with four or three openings that can take you from courtyard to courtyard, not only by the streets. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. You had the wonderful page of elevations. Yes. So I think that that's something that's something good to show as well, because you put a lot of thought and ideas on there. So why don't you explain a little bit what you did with elevations?
Okay, the first floor is it's a commercial floor or a public floor, depends where is the building is. And the second floors are for residentials. Also the upper floor and the towers or the domes that I put.
Well, it's very interesting what Mr. Alfasi has been doing here, because there is always this question in Israel: what is the architectural style of the country, and is it like Ottoman? Is it Levantine? So he has been doing quite a thorough analysis of the architecture of the area, and also the existing architecture is 1, 2, 3 stories maximum, and he has lifted and enlarged it to a much bigger scale, in which I believe it has been quite an interesting exercise of invention and creation and composition based on a series of elements that are constant and repeating in the whole area of Israel, based on former historical examples from biblical times, Roman, the Crusaders' time, but also the Ottomans, who also left a big imprint. So thank you very much, Mr. Alfasi, for proposing this. I just wanted to point this out before letting the jury talk. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now I will start. Very interesting, beautiful project. I like always when I see something more Levantine, because being from Romania, we have this influence, and you can't get, once you have a bit of East influence, this is forever. So I am sensitive to that area. I like very much that you preserve or created those loggias. I suppose they have also not only an aesthetic role, but environmental. You can stay there in the shadow and be a bit more protected from the scorching hot weather. Is this true? It's an element that you have specific to have loggias, to stay in the shadow.
Yes and no. I wanted to make more dense spaces, because it's very hot in Israel. Also the courtyard will cool the areas.
Yes, but it's good how you thought to have those loggias where you can relax and look and be sheltered. So you managed to create not only a beautiful, but also functional from environmental management point of
Recording
view.
stopped.
The recording stopped. My question is about the train station. Have you preserved it?
This building is the train station.
Yes, I would have liked to enhance it a bit. The plan is very beautiful. I like the bridges, but once this is the most historical building in the area, maybe you could have created as a point of interest or make something around it to enhance it. I see that it's a very little building, but I don't know if there are others more important than
These two are the most important. All the rest are storage and building that probably help the station. But these two are the most important.
So they are in the park, at least you can see them. You can, yes. But I like the bridges very much, and I think you did a very good thing. And also you preserve the green character of the neighborhood, because now if you go on Google Map, you see mostly green, but otherwise it's quite chaotic what you can see there. Thank you. Nice
Thank
job.
you.
Very good
Thank you.
job. Thank you.
I think it's my turn, right? So I think it's a good job. I love the fact that you put order in a plan that is not very organized. And I especially love the how you solve the problem of the industrial area. So it is open, but in the meantime, is not overwhelming respect the rest of the plan. And I love also the green, that the parts that you put around, as George already said, that you preserve the green in the area. And yes, the only thing that maybe could have been more detailed is the link between the park or the entrance and the station. But it's just only how you like to design the gardens. So it's not a big issue. You can solve it without a big problem, in my opinion. And I was thinking about the Ottoman style in the pavilion board, because I noticed this one, because I noticed that the Corinthian order, it's Ottoman, it's a mixture, and I love that, to tell the truth, because you took your tradition, what is your culture, into the design. And I'm glad also that you made a plate in which you can see the different orders of the streets, or well, the one with the previous one, where you can see the previous one also, it's this one. I love this one because it's very urbanistic. So it's a way of understanding the area. So if you can see which is the most important access to town, or what can be critical, or what can
Recording in progress.
implementing, it's very useful. I think that if you study a town, the Nolly plan is important, but also this plan that can show where are the lines that gets into town or out of town. So good job, in my opinion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moshe, congratulations. Excellent work.
Thank you.
Your earlier exercises, you did a great job, as well as Sylvia and others were mentioning. I really appreciated this study as well. I was actually going to comment on it. I thought it was, when you compare your Nolly plans to, the before and after, and how this study of the urban grid and how extending the urban grid into your proposal, I think you did a great job on looking at that infrastructure. I was actually in Tel Aviv a few years ago, so this is all kind of fresh to me in that area. So I think the solution that you had with the density in the courtyards, I thought that was carried out very well. In terms of the architecture, if you could go to that, I think it's maybe your last or second to last slide. Yeah, this one. I really appreciated, the proposal of, putting kind of these pedestrian bridges over the lower train area, and the architecture that you're proposing, kind of this how do you speak to the different architectural styles that are there, and you did that very well. One of the things that maybe could be improved moving forward is looking at, some of the other proposals we've seen so far. There's kind of this maybe the diversity of architectural styles as they work into the overall urban proposals. And so I think with some of these, they start to get a little repetitive. If you're looking, for instance, at your street section. And so I think that, that would be one recommendation if you were to take this one step forward. But overall, you did a fantastic job. Congratulations, and a very successful proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Julio Cesar had to leave, so we are now having 3 members of the jury. I would have to say on top that Mr. Alfasi has been showing a lot of creativity in his 2 first proposals. So that's quite again another of the ones who have really challenged who have challenged themselves on the project and have made something very, very creative. And at the same time, I want to say on his behalf that the facade looks very similar, but at the same time he's pairing the typology. So I think that we need to understand that each of them as a single building. I think that is his intention. We're not seeing like 6 buildings, but 3. So that's what I would say on his behalf and the way that the whole proposal has been organized. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
That one, but I agree with you that it might seem that there is a lack of variety, but that is because we have gone bigger. In this case, we went bigger on the scale. That's basically the reason. But I agree with you that it's much more uniform than the others. But that was the whole thing that we wanted to create. That it was a sort of Haussmannian Tel Aviv, what we were seeking in here, about variety within the unity. But thank you very much, Mr. Alfasi. We have only 2 ones to finish. So now is the turn of Mr. Mario Rangel, who is doing also very interesting project around a neo-Romanesque revival church in Rapid Creeks. So it's very interesting project what he has done.
Thank you.
It's all yours.
Yes, okay. I will start sharing the screen here. Okay, so you can all see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay, all right. So, just thank you for everybody being here. It's an honor for me to present to you. I'm from Rapid City, South Dakota. And I will just preface my presentation that I would say that I'm a pretty simple-minded person. I've dedicated all of my adult years to raising my family and running a construction company. So my involvement in the creative field has been very limited, and so my challenge is to bring creativity to environments that usually don't have them. So today I feel a little bit, just my applause to all of my classmates and their work. I feel a little bit like a man who's been watching professional soccer all his life and enjoys it, and then all of a sudden somebody puts you on the field to play in front of thousands of people. So with that, I'll begin my presentation. So this is work that we did beginning in the class. These were all brand new experiences for me. To learn to draw these orders, and Pablo was very patient and encouraging through to all of us through this process. So it was really, yes.
I think we're seeing only the not your presentation. We're just seeing the blue slide.
Let's see here.
I don't know if you have dual screen on, but
well, it says that I'm sharing the screen.
You're sharing the screen, but you're sharing just the PowerPoint. I think you need
just the PowerPoint view.
on custom slideshow or click what's it? It's F5 is the one to show the full presentation.
F5.
Or if you go down, I think that you have the no. Click on from current slide. Oops, now you're not sharing.
Do you see that screen?
No. Now we just see your webcam.
Oh, okay. Let me try again. I apologize. Share screen. And I'm going to share the window, correct?
Yes, and then you show the window what the blue screen is.
Oops. You see that now?
Yes. So now click on from current. Okay, I see. So I think that you need to move manually. You need to go now to slide 2, click on slide 2. And
Okay.
Then,
you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll do my best with this. So, okay. So yes, again, these were all first-time drawings for me, and they were very enjoyable. Dr. Buras mentioned in the beginning of the class that you would feel refreshed. And the amount of time that I put into these can't be understated, and feeling refreshed was definitely true. So our first exercise was to create a gate. This was my gate drawing with the Corinthian order. The inspiration for this drawing, so the city I'm from is Rapid City, South Dakota, and my city is only about 150 years old, but it was developed primarily by a gold rush to the Black Hills. And since that time, there has been conflict between the native peoples here and those that came to mine the gold and settle here. And so this gate, the inspiration for me was to be a place of reconciliation. I had envisioned a sculpture sitting on top of this gate of a Native American and a westward settler embracing one another. This is my pavilion drawing. So here's the gate. Can you see me move my cursor? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the gate leading to this pavilion, and we were encouraged to do a different style. So I did the Ionic style here. Just meant to be a soft feeling building, a place to rest or dine together. And then we move on to the intervention project. So again, I'm from Rapid City, South Dakota, a small town, 70,000 people, about a young town. And I'll preface my presentation in saying that our area of the world lacks history and character quite a bit. As you drive across where we live, you'll have a hard time finding this sense of place or beautiful structures. Things were put up quickly in ways that people were just probably happy to have the resources to build themselves a wood barn or a wood house. And so even the downtown of Rapid City has had a very hard time of keeping centralized and having character. But my intervention is in near the downtown area of Rapid City, again, which is small. And so this is the aerial photo on the left side of the area of intervention, and over on the right side, more of a perspective, bird's eye view outlining the area. So just to explain this area a little bit, up here is where you get more to the heart of our downtown, which is hard to recognize. Again, we have very little character where we live. The grade, this is looking north. The grade of this road is coming up as you head south. And you can kind of see in this picture that there's also a significant slope from the high side on the west to the low side on the east. And this church right here, Immaculate Conception Church, is kind of the heart of my intervention. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. I don't know that I can. The problem with this area, to me, is number one, there's no beauty. There's number two, there's no order, and number three, this church, which receives a lot of attention and gathering, is literally on the edge of a very busy street, and so the development of the city has continued to push upon this church space and make it feel well, irreverent, if you will. And so my goal with this project was simply to create a place within a city that really has very little character or places that people would want to gravitate to and feel that they could call beautiful. So another few photos that I thought would be helpful is just street views. I'll just run through these quickly. So these are in order, heading from the north, moving. So this first one on the top left is at the bottom of the intervention, or the northernmost side. You can see the church steeple here. And this is just a progressive movement. As you can see, this grade from west to east. And as you go up the street, that continues. And it gets more severe towards the end of my area of intervention. And then I turned around here at the top of the hill and took Google Street Views moving back to the north. And so then we get down and you can see more of the style of the church. The Noli map of the existing is, again, very little order to this layout. All of these small structures are scattered throughout, are all residential with very little organization. As well as on the left side here, there are some apartment structures, but a very odd layout, mainly because of landscape. It's a difficult area to build. And then we move up into this area where we have the church right here. The church, we'll call it office building, which also has a new school in it. And then over here is a historic building. It was a convent, but is no longer owned by the church. And then these are houses. So this area here is kind of the heart of the intervention. So the proposed Noli map, the idea for me was to create a feel that all attention is being directed back to the church in this area. So it'd be a place for people who belong to this parish, can work and live and regularly walk to the church and feel as though all of the adjacent spaces and buildings are somehow connected and pointing back to the church space. I left the space around the church as more of a large courtyard and green area. So the green does represent green area in this drawing, or courtyard type space, because they tend to have a lot of gatherings and processions outside of this church. And so the idea was, as well as this being a school, having an area for people to spend outside in meditation or in quiet play or conversation immediately around the church. And then as you move away, you create these spaces that are, so the dark gray and the lighter medium shade of gray are all building space. The lighter spaces are meant to be like almost white spaces, are the public sidewalk areas or pavement areas or parking areas. And so as you move away from the church and move up the hill, the area becomes even more busy with commerce, living space, and day-to-day interactions. But again, a fairly small area of intervention, because it's hard to know in my community how far to go. You could do the whole city. So photographs, precedent photographs. This photo in the middle is the church, and it has a Romanesque feel to it. But again, it also, knowing a little bit about the history of the church, it still gives me the feeling of people moving out to the prairie and not putting a lot into to the character of their buildings. And so it remains fairly inornate. The precedents I'm using, some of these photos on top are, I believe they're all from European areas, but I was encouraged to look at Richardsonian, Romanesque architecture examples. And so these are some of the images I brought up that I really liked. The play on these shorter column structures and larger arch features that to me brought a lot of character. And they also tied into, there's a facility that was built around the time that the city was established. It's about an hour away from Rapid City, and it's a complex for the Veterans Administration. And this is a bird's eye view of that. And these down here on the bottom left and the bottom right are a couple of buildings that are on or nearby to that campus. And they have the most character of any place. This whole campus has the most character of any place, I believe, in the Black Hills. But they do seem to have a relation to this church. In particular, they're all built out of sandstone, and that more of a split face finish, so not a smooth finish on the sandstone. So those were the beginning images that I used to create my design and intervention. And so my drawing that I put together, I named this Fidelis Villa. It's Latin for faithful village. And I felt that this was important to create as best as I could, to give a good feel of the height of these buildings and hopefully almost enclosing feel with around the church itself, and directional back to the church as well. These buildings, so elevation by elevation, this one on the top would be looking at this curved courtyard area, a 2-story building with commerce on the bottom and living or office space on the top. This view, of course, is looking back at the church. This is an existing building here that would be modified. This is a colonnade that I've created. Again, place for gathering and spending time out in the open. This is meant to be a pavilion for the many gathered public activities that could happen around the church and around this community. And then this small building is that existing historic convent building as well. Both of these buildings existing were probably built in the early 1900s, so not that old compared to the other places we've been talking about today. This view, again, the grade is moving from north to south up higher. And so this elevation view is looking at this side. So this side has 2 stories up against the street. And then on the back side, as the grade drops down, the building drops down with these round courtyard areas within them. Again, one thing I'll mention is that I should have mentioned is regarding the layout of the space. In order to make this space here more protected and more I don't know the word I'm looking for, but more formalized. If you look at the existing Noli, there was a street right here. And again, this poor little church building is pushed right up to the corner In fact, just the other day, there are two barricades in front of the church to prevent if somebody went off the road in their car. And in fact, a car did go off the road. And it's just common that everybody's gathering out the front of the church here. So it's actually a very dangerous area. So I've removed this street and made that all part of the church property. And so you can see that now that it's larger, and then built the pavilion off to the back. Then across the street, this grade is moving up significantly. So I've created 2 stories on the main level, and then hopped up to follow the landscape with 2 more stories above that, which I propose would be all living type spaces. And the idea here is, for me, was that this larger arch would actually be somewhat of a roadway that that people could drive down onto this and park. So as far as the character of the architecture, whether I was successful or not in this, I didn't want to have any pitched or domed roofs on any of the other buildings. So I left the pitched roof to the church alone, to really set it apart from the rest. But the feel of what I was trying to achieve here was definitely something villagey, that people want to be in, and is beautiful, and a step up in detail, in beauty compared to the church, but not dominating to the church. And so with that, that's my presentation. Thank you for your time, and ahead of time, thank you for your critique.
I will start. First of all, congratulations. You said that you can't draw, but I think we saw something different. And your evolution in drawing, it's fantastic. So from the first drawing to this one, it's like, I don't know. There are students in architecture which are not able to produce such a beautiful drawing. So don't have any sort of complex about not being able to draw. I also like very much your pavilion, which was very peaceful, and the proportions were extremely well done, and it was simpler. Your exercise, the second exercise. Then I liked that you start this analysis of the street view, what you really see when you go on the site. But then when you come with the design, I didn't feel that you retain anything from that analysis, only the fact that we see the church from some angles, and the church is important. I like that very much, that you gave a very big emphasis to the only few historical buildings. Maybe in the Noli plan, you could have represented them with a different color, so we understand that those are the stars. But with the plan, with the urban plan, I like very much your result. It's very beautiful, very well proportioned, but as an urban plan, I think it jumps to another scale. So it's like an ideal city. It's beautiful, can work fantastic, but maybe, I don't know, apart from the church, what's the connection with that place? But for you, as a fantastic exercise, and you develop a very interesting space. And I like the difference of the level, which it's difficult to understand from Google, but that helps a lot to have this variation of volumes and crossing and everything. So it's extremely beautiful what you did, but a bit too monumental for the place. But that was an exercise. I think you learn a lot, you progress a lot, and I have to congratulate you because you did a really good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So it's my turn. So I think that you said that you are a simple mind person, but I think you have a lot of ideas, to tell the truth. So I don't think you're so simple. So I enjoy your plan and your analysis of the site. And sometimes it's more difficult to plan when you have nothing no point of interest except the church, or you have no boundaries, so you are in the middle of nowhere. And so it's difficult to plan when you have no rules, nothing, just only a very wide road where cars can rush down. So it's really difficult. So I love the fact that you balance the buildings, and you try also to if you see the existing plan, there are a lot of crescent or a lot of dead end road. Instead, in your plan, you try instead to connect the different buildings and the different streets to give an idea or something that can be more balanced and organic, the Italian way of organic idea. And if I have to suggest you something, just to try to put more accent to the convent, because if it is an old building, it is good to try to give it importance as you did with the church. That is good for me. And it could be a critical point, the buildings that they are in front of the church, because they seems to be very big. So if you have to plan them, it can be difficult. But to tell the truth, it's a good plan. Well done. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mario, as someone that lives in Utah with a lot of very lacking spirit of a place, or some of that, where we suffer from suburbia or sprawl and things like that, I think you did an excellent job with your proposal. Your earlier exercises, you did a great job as well, and take heart that, the classical language anyone can learn, and as you continue to develop those skills and practice over time, you've already demonstrated that in the 3 exercises that you did, and I think your urban proposal, the ability to kind of use the topography and the existing grade changes, that was a very sophisticated move. I really liked the tiered proposal that you were looking at. One thing I think that maybe got a little lost in translation was looking at some of your precedents and then going to the really ornate and elaborate proposal. But that's a skill that's sometimes hard to learn, even for the experts. And Pablo and Dr. Buras will probably mention to you this at some point, but there's something called progressive omission. And I don't know if they talked at all about that, but where you start with the classical orders and then you start peeling away some of the elements. So maybe you start removing the columns themselves, or you remove some of the parts of the entablature, so you just have the cornice band, right? And that's really what kind of Middle America is. It's a lot of this vernacular or stripped down classical architecture, and I think that would maybe be the next step to kind of pare it down a little bit, to make it fit a little bit more into the context. But you did a great job. Congratulations on all your proposals.
Thank you. Yes, and Dr. Funes did mention this idea of subtracting to help, but there's something I've learned in I don't know that I would ever want to design any other way than by hand, because I've done computer drafting over the years, and there's just something that happens in drawing by hand that allows a better creativity. But the limitation on that is all the eraser marks and the time it takes to draw these. And so at some point you say, well, that looks good, I'm going to commit and move forward. And you kind of maybe head down a direction that I did see that I was getting a little more ornate than I wanted to, but it was looking good still. So I kept with it. So I didn't have to start there. So yeah.
Great job.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have to say, Mr. Angel, on behalf of all this lavish ornamentation, I think that what I have found interesting is that in this quest that we have had with you of playing around with the Romanesque, I think we have ended up creating, I mean, when I see the final product, this elevation, it looks like very Italian, very North Italy to me, a little bit of, and Silvia and Ricardo can correct me, has a sort of Italian flavor of Trecento, a little bit of Quattrocento, and which I find very charming in that sense. I mean, I don't know if you see that as well, Silvia, or is it just me seeing something Italian decent?
Yes, for example, the building that is aside the church is a loggia, is a typical Florentine loggia, and the one that is on the left, the antique building, this is Italianate. Yes, it's from the Florentine Renaissance. And for example, the colonnade reminds me of San Pietro in Roma. So it's, and you were lucky, Mario, because the church was not bad. So you can save the church because it could have been a different architecture. So it makes sense. Yes.
Yes, and the exercise, the chapel, was quite Brunellesque in a way. So he went through all the phases of Italian Renaissance.
Well, my name is Mario, so I don't know if I'm Spanish or Mexican or Italian. So it's they're all over the place. So that's probably what's happening here,
The Roman from you cried.
Thank you very much, Mr. Angel. I think it has been, because I'm seeing now, like, retrospectively, I mean, I didn't realize until now about all the Italian luxury that we have in adding in here, and we haven't seen it. So it's been, I hope that you find as well a very pleasant journey and discovery. And the perspective, I have to say, that looks quite stunning, the military perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Professor Funes, I don't know if there's any more, but I need to leave. And,
okay, well, thank you very much, Brandon, for having been here, for having been all the time. We have only one more to finish.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I mean, but thank you very much for taking the time to be here. We appreciate you being here and giving the feedback to the students. It means a lot to us. So thank you very much for having been here.
No, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Excellent work.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then, last but not least, we have Mr. Erdeli. Are you with us?
I am here.
Here you are.
Yes.
So it's all yours.
Sounds great. Let me find the screen. And click. Move it up. Sorry, 1 second here.
Okay, take your time. Yes, now we can.
Can you see that? Great. Fantastic. So, good afternoon, everyone, or good evening now at this point. As Pablo said, my name is Daniel Erdley, and I am actually by trade, I am a materials engineer. So I do materials research on materials for electronic devices in a lab. So before this course, for the past 9 months before then, I really had no architectural or artistic background. So this course has definitely been challenging for me, and I've learned a lot and tried to push my boundaries where I can with my very novice drawing skills. So first, this is just a quick collage and a little preview of some of the assignments I'll be showing me. Figured it wasn't worth showing my first assignments here as the same orders I did, as well as all my other classmates. So moving into my first exercise, and really my first ever architectural or drawing exercise really in my life, I decided to go with a very simple Doric order park gate based on primarily the Arch of Hadrian, but many of those traditional Roman arches from the first few centuries, as well as the Porta Palio in Verona as well for some of the little pediment styles on these side entrances. Next, for exercise 2, I kind of changed directions with my style, but still keeping it simple, going for a Jeffersonian based on a precedent for this was like Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's house, as well as colonial elements here. And I decided to go for simple Ionic order with a main area in the pavilion in the center, and then 2 smaller side sitting rooms for this project. And now, moving into my exercise 3. So the proposed area is that yellow dot down there. Again, it's a bit larger in scale than the actual area of intervention, but it's located just 45 minutes south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the United States. So in my area and a lot of these surrounding towns, being a Rust Belt city, we have a lot of old, very walkable industrial towns along this river, and we've had a lot of immigrants throughout the turn of the century, so a lot of Italian, German, Polish, Slovak immigrants, and that really influences the architectural style, which I will show later, of this area. So you get a wide mix of styles within the same town. And zooming in more now on the specific area down there, this is an area actually close to where I grew up. Consists of this small strip mall here that was put in place back in the 1960s. And it is nearing the end of its life and will eventually need replaced. So for this intervention, I thought it was a perfect opportunity for me to design a town center for my local township. And our township only has about 11,000 people, spanning a larger area than just what I show here, but it really doesn't have a sense of place or a town center or anywhere really to walk around. So for this proposal, I'm trying to change that and offer a different way that this area here can be redefined. And before going into the Nolly map, I should point out these areas on the map here for you to keep in mind as I go through my work. The first one here would be there is a high school up to the right up this road, so our local public high school. So this road does see a lot of traffic before and after sporting events at the stadium up there. Another main road here is this main 4-lane road that leads straight north up to the city of Pittsburgh I was talking about. Then you have this road running along here, which is another pretty main thoroughfare that runs through from a small town over to the right, and another one over off to the left of the screen. As you can see, I labeled a bunch of these other public use buildings, such as a post office, the funeral home, police station, bank, restaurant, some chain restaurants, a real estate company, and a fire station. So when I go through my Nolly here, you'll see that I tried to keep these intact and not really touch these existing main buildings, while focusing on working in around them and building in some gentle density. And talking a bit further, I focused on this area here, highlighted in this orange oval, not touching any of the suburban area, this neighborhood up here, this development down on the left. One other thing I forgot to mention on the last slide as well is that this area here is all flat. However, as you go up this hill towards the high school, it is up on top of a hill, which you can't tell here represented on this aerial photograph, as well as this area up here where these 2 warehouse buildings are on a raised, probably 20, 30 feet higher, and there's a cliff on the other side that just goes down towards this road. as well as this 4-lane road here is elevated compared to the rest of this area, such that if you're driving on this road, you're above and have a good vantage point to see over the rest of this area. Now, getting into the analysis of the existing nully, it is pretty shocking, I would say, showing the streets in white, and then any of the buildings, such as the houses, in black, as well as some of that like public inside of this strip mall. And then all the gray here is all private space, but unbuilt space. So you'll notice I took the parking lot, and that is gray here, as well as this large green space behind the strip mall, because currently, and as far as I know, since the strip mall was built, it's never been used as a park, and people don't use it as a park. And if you were, and it's privately owned, so if you were to go on it, that would be considered trespassing. Also to note, there is a lot of green space or open space around this police station and the funeral home. So as you'll see in my revised nully here, I tried to fill that in as well as adding a lot of density around this area while keeping some of these other areas, especially out here, untouched, because this is all people's private land and yards, and I didn't want to interfere with that, especially if in the future, near future here, that this could eventually become an active plan and a push within the community to redevelop this area. So now going on to the proposed nully here, you'll see I had a lot of liberty to design these streets however I would like, but I tried to do what was natural with the current streets that were there, connecting, adding more density and more streets for cars and for people to walk. So a couple things to note is I took out that like kind of high speed interchange that was here onto the highway, because funny enough, they have that there for you to speed up, and then there's a stop sign anyways you have to slow down to get on the main highway. So I converted that into a roundabout, as well as some of these other main areas here into roundabouts here, as well as coming up from this road going up to the high school here. And currently right here was a stoplight, but I didn't think that was necessary, so converted that also to a roundabout. As you can see also from the design, this area here is just a big large square or piazza. This was influenced, and really this design here in this large square was influenced from all my travels to northeastern Italy to go visit my fiance, who's from 20 minutes north of Padova, and she went to university in Venice or Venezia. So experiencing some of these squares, such as in Verona or Vicenza, as well as some of the walled cities up there like Cittadella, Marostica. I really love that idea of a central square area where you can have markets, where you can have fairs, and a place for people to gather and hang out. I also decided with this to have these streets aligned to the square such that there can be prominent buildings across, so that as you're coming into the square, you can see a prominent building here that would be located, such as a town hall of such, or a municipal building, as well as these buildings here on the corners. Another thing to note is you can see that I obviously did not go for a lot of high density, especially out in this area, because I didn't think it made sense for a small town to add a ton of density out into these areas. So these are more either single family homes or just connected duplexes. To fill around in the police station, adding a couple streets here. One obvious place that I should have added a street was either down through one of these places. For the purpose of this though, I decided not to, more for practicality, cutting up these people's lands or knocking down someone's house here to put that in. Last thing to note to explain on the nully here is that the buildings around the square designed as 3-story buildings to surround this, and then the rest of the buildings here being just 2-story buildings, and any of these other houses would just be single or ground plus one buildings. Now, talking about some of the precedents, before I get into talk about the street elevations here. As I said, a lot of the architecture around where I live is a lot of turn-of-the-century architecture, so think Victorian, Italianate, but we also get neoclassical styles from the prominent public buildings. So these are 2 courthouses from the county that this place is located in, but also surrounding counties. You can see very neoclassical, also same very architectural style that you see in like our nation's capital on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. You also notice here in my precedents, I have a couple buildings here. This is actually the Church of St. James in Brussels, and this is another courthouse based in the same town as these three buildings up here. And the reason I picked these as precedents, and unfortunately I won't have the images to show today because I'm still working through it, but to design the prominent building in the town, but I wanted that building to have a large pediment in front with Corinthian columns, and I figured any good town with a square needed a clock or bell tower in the center to tell local citizens for the time. That's something I always saw when I was in Italy, reminding you in the chime of the bells if it wasn't a church, but the local tower or bell tower in the town. And then the center picture here, precedent, some might recognize it, but that's actually a picture from Poundbury. And the reason I picked that was precedence for the arcaded streets. I had some other ones here, but I didn't want to have a million slides on precedence. But another thing being in northeastern Italy, which I also think boded well for my climate, is the winters tend to get pretty cold and harsh with the snow and the wind, as well as in the summers. It still gets, fairly hot in the summers, and you can still get a lot of sun. So I like the idea of having arcaded streets, at least surrounding the main square or on the main streets, to keep people out of the weather. So now moving into my street elevation, well, unfortunately with time restraints, I didn't have as many other street elevations as I would have liked to show for this. This is what I had time to complete for now, and through the coming weeks, I'll still be working on this project to finish out some of the other hand drawings. But what you'll notice about this, probably first thing most strikingly, is that every building looks fairly different. There's no obvious architectural style here, except you'll see a lot of Italian influence in some of these buildings designed. Here, where you'll see the double window here arch, but then the window recessed behind, or these rounded pediments on top of these windows. I also wanted to play around with the different ratios for the arches on the ground floor here. Seeing wider arches or taller 2-to-1 ratio, or 1-to-2 or 2-to-3 ratio arches, as well as some straight supported arches here as well. And the plan for this would be for the first floor for these the first ground level to be shops underneath, and then residential above. And I should also point out that this is facing the main square here that I have highlighted in yellow. So this is looking at a street elevation there. Next thing I would love to do is to design the prominent building that would go here with the bell tower, and one more street elevation in one of these other areas here, which I see as more or all kind of a residential area for this town. So with that, I think that is all I have for this presentation. Kind of short for the last one, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be happy to take any questions or feedback.
I will start. Congratulations, very interesting. And also congratulations for changing your direction and becoming a designer. Everyone has to do this if they feel to. And it's your name actually pronounced Erdeli.
Yes, actually in English, but I think in Hungarian it's pronounced Erdei. There was a Y, there should be an I at the end, and my ancestors dropped from my last
very
name.
good. So probably also your ancestors are talking about so much European influence.
Mm-hmm.
Very beautiful. I like very much the fact that you have different elevations, and maybe you know the precedent of Richmond Riverside, designed by Quinlan Terry, who had, in fact, it's a big building, but it's divided in sections which look different. And he has even difference of the front. So some are more recessed, you change the materials, so you can have even more complex function inside, but still looking as separate buildings. So maybe when you develop the rest of the project, you can take some inspiration for there, because it's a very good technique to break up and don't have the usual huge buildings without any shape. So that's all I have to say, and I wish you good luck and develop a beautiful project in the rest of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I love the idea that your fiancé is coming from my territory, so because I'm living in Vicenza, so
No, that's
I
a
can
beautiful
understand
city, yes. I've
what
been.
you're talking about, you know. And so I love the idea that you would like to create a square, or just to find a place where people can gather and live together, because it's the best thing to create a community. And I know very well the area in which you're working, and so every small town in the US, in the northern eastern part of US, more or less is like this. So the mall, the fire department, maybe the church, the high school, so and nothing, just only yes, the best part is the residential part, in which everyone has his own house, and it's quiet and peaceful, but they really need some place to go and to stay. So I love the idea that you think about a square, but I have to tell you the truth that no one in Italy is looking at the bell tower to see what time is it. So it's just only the bell tower is
maybe
just
a thing of the past.
yeah, it's just, but it is important, the bell tower, because in the past days, the bell tower should have been the highest building in the area. So it's it is what tell which is the height of the surrounding of the other buildings. So it is very important for that. And the only thing that I can suggest you is just, even if you have different buildings, try to put the same rhythm on the arcade, like Palladio did with the Basilica, and try to figure out if changing the rhythm gives you a different perspectives on what you like most. So because the arcade are very important, but it's not like a display of different styles. In my opinion, you have to try to figure out how to balance all these different styles. Is just a suggestion. So it's good. So go on. It's a good work. You have a lot of ideas, so develop it, because it's good. So well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Georgia and Sylvia. I would add that on top of all the Italian references that you have had, you have made the whole elevations generally American. Italian is American, but generally American, which I think is interesting, because you're taking like the best of both worlds. You're taking the urbanism from Italy, and then you are like translating it into an American Italian way of understanding through the architecture, the Italian architecture of United States, and I think that's the true power, the true meaning of integration. I agree with Sylvia that the rhythm of the arcades is something that you could explore on the other sides, but definitely, I mean, you are onto something very interesting.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm looking forward to see that the whole elevations finish, which I'm sure that they will be finished in due course. But as I told you, I mean, I think it was better if you are coming to get the feedback from the jury than not get feedback from the jury.
Of course.
Thank you very much for doing it and for making the time to be here. And with Mr. Adeli, we have come to the end of this jury. So thank you very much in first instance to Georgia and to Sylvia for having been till the end. Thank you to Brandon and to Julio, even if they have left earlier due to other commitments. Thank you to the two ones that are still here, Ara and to Rafi, who are here just supporting us till the end. So thank you very much, guys, for having been here to the end. Thank you to Ara, because you have been broadcasting us from YouTube. And well, thank you, everyone. I don't know if I'm trying to get on Dr. Buras if he is there available to say something, but he's not responsive, unfortunately, because he's with this event. Dr. Buras, if you are listening to us, we would like
Knocking the door.
knock in the door. Dr. Buras, I have sent him a message, so he's probably busy. But on behalf of him, I would also like to thank you, all the students, for having been this year with us. It has been an amazing year. It has been challenging. It has been very interesting. It has been fun. I hope that you have enjoyed it. And yeah, I mean, we welcome you to the classical world community, and everyone who has been listening us to this video, because you will see that on YouTube. Well, if you're interested in knowing more and learning how these students have learned, you just need to question us. And then also for the audience who will be listening, there will be an indoor event in the World Congress at the end of the month of October. And please register and come, and we will put in the link in the bio. We will put the link for you to register on the indoor event. Georgia will be there, I will be there, Sylvia will be there, everyone will be there. So please come and meet us in person.
Yes, congratulations to classic planning. They learn a lot, so this is a very effective way of learning. I am very, very content with what I saw.
Thank you, Georgia. Thank you for all the very good, remarkable points, because I think it's also good. What I have liked about all you, the four of you as the jury, is that you just haven't said, "Oh, very pretty, very pretty." You have gone to the point, which is what I wanted them to realize. That's what I didn't want to show any of you much information, so that you could get and you could say, "I don't like this," and then you could go straight to the point. Because just praising, I mean, we all have a mom, or we all have had a mom and a grandmother who love us, but I think that here is just to be challenged on each other, and I have been praising them enough. I mean, I have been whipping them quite a lot. They know that I have been, and apologies for sometimes I have been very harsh, but I think that all of you will be must be happy with the result. So Dr. Buras is probably super busy, so probably in post-production we will have an intervention from him. But thank you very much, everyone, to be here. The recording will be available very soon. First for all of you privately, and then we will make the cuts and the post-production to show it in YouTube. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for having been here.
Thank you to you.
Thank you. No, thank you to you. And well, I hope to see you to see you too, Sylvia and Georgia. I will see you probably earlier, but I will see you, Sylvia, in the indoor event. And all of you, if you're coming, I will be happy to see you and take you around London. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And
thank you.
Thank you.
And good job, everybody. Really.
Yeah, good job. Well done, everyone.
Congratulations.
Yes.
For here at the CPI. Thank you very much.
It's a bitter farewell, because we enjoyed this so much. I think I can speak for everyone. So thank you for everything, Pablo. You're fantastic.
Thank you. I mean, you have been all fantastic too. I mean, I think all of you have been challenging yourselves in a way, and you have also challenged me in another way, because that's why I wanted you to give you the freedom to challenge myself, to say, okay, now I need to confront this. It would have been easy, it would have told all of you to do the same thing. But that's what we wanted to also to have fun seeing what you come with. But yeah, thank you very much. And again, for the audience who is watching us, if you want to know more about our courses, come to the Classic Planning Institute and we will tell you more. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Great job.
Thank you all.
See you on year 2.
Congratulations, everyone.
Year 2 will be next year in September. Stay tuned.
You have a year to prepare.
You have a year to prepare. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.